Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Fox Sports.
Last night, the Rays got back on the winning track behind the right arm of Chris Archer, who tossed 6 2/3 shutout innings, while Kevin Kiermaier and Evan Longoria supplied the power, leading Tampa Bay to a 5-0 victory. Tonight, left-hander David Price goes to the hill, looking to continue his dominance over the Astros. Tonight at Tropicana Field, the 10-game homestand continues with Game 2 of the 4-game series. The Rays playing host to the Houston Astros. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to an evening of baseball here at the Trop with Brian Anderson. I'm Dwayne Statz. Great to have you looking in. We'll hear from Todd Callis in just a moment. Well, last night the Rays got great pitching, eventually timely hitting en route to a 5-0 win. And tonight go for a win in Game 2 of the series. They'll be sending David Price to the mound. He has pitched extremely well against Houston, coming off a good outing against them over in Houston.
Yeah, you want to talk about a matchup that's good for David Price. It's him against the Houston Astros, especially if you go back just a little bit less than a year. Since last July, David Price has faced this Astro team 3 times, a 2-1 record, but look at the ERA, 1.88 earned run average, 24 innings. He's averaging 8 innings a start. How about this, though? 23 strikeouts to go along with exactly 0 bases on balls. David Price fills up that strike zone, and I really like the adjustments that he made in his start last week against the Astros, where he gave up 2 home runs in the first inning, settled down after that, made those adjustments, and sailed along the rest of the way and picking up a win.
We saw this pitching matchup almost a year ago, last July, when Jared Cosard made his major league debut and outdueled David Price in a 2-1 decision. They'll go at it here tonight. Price trying to even his record on the year. Evan Longoria not only has been going deep, but he's been pulling the ball with authority. Todd Callis takes a look at the exploits of Evan Longoria when we come back.
skipper Joe Madden as we get ready for a little Friday night contest between the Astros and the Rays. Rays are currently 3-1 this year against Houston, and right now with 3 games remaining in the season series and in this current series, the Rays are exactly 3 games behind the Astros. For Evan Longoria, he's had that right center field swing going, but lately we've seen him pull some home runs. His last 3 home runs have all been to the pull side in left field, including this bolt against Jared Cosart at Minute Maid Park in Houston on a breaking ball that hung, and this ball got out in a hurry. Good to see Longo turning and burning on some pitches there. That was a breaking ball. And then last night against Paul Clemens, this ball was a high fastball, and he just launched. This didn't land too far from our set here in left field. That is a bomb beyond the seat in left. We caught up with his hitting coach, Derek Shelton, and he really likes what he's seen out of Longo the last 3 weeks.
The ball we saw yesterday is a ball up in the zone. That's a ball he usually hammers, and earlier in the year he had struggled with it a little bit. And I think we're seeing probably from about the first week of June on the Longo that we know and that we know and love. And he's starting to get the ball elevated on the pull side. The ball he hit off Cosart was a breaking ball that he'd thrown him early in the at bat, or the earlier in their game that he hit. So yeah, he's in a better spot. He's in a better spot mechanically. I think he tinkered with a couple things, and it's good to see where he's at.
And Longoria back in the number 3 slot in the Rays lineup today, in between Kevin Kiermaier and James Loney. Our pitching matchup is a good one. Jared Cosart for the Astros, David Price for the Rays. First pitch coming your way in 3 minutes and 5 seconds. Enjoy all the action with Wayne Stats and Brian Anderson next.
David Price coming off his double-figure strikeout performance against Houston on the road. His last time out comes right back against Houston here tonight inside the Trop, making his 16th start of the year. He'll face this lineup presented by your Southern Ford dealers, Dexter Fowler, Jose Altuve, and George Springer. John Singleton, Matt Dominguez, and Jason Castro down the middle. The DH is Chris Carter. Jesus Guzman hits 8th. Jonathan Villar is the shortstop, batting 9th.
Well, David Price, here are his season numbers, making his 16th start of the season, 2 complete games, looking to even that record. His last 4 starts, ERA of 2.67, but just a 1-2 record. Also in that span, in 30 1/3 innings pitched, 37 strikeouts to go up against 2 walks. He will fill up that strike zone.
And this is a team that can be aggressive up and down the lineup. First pitch of this game is a fastball in there for a strike. First pitch presented by Pinch a Penny. Fowler at 282. He's been very good in the leadoff spot for Houston. Count is 1-1. In fact, he is 5th in the league in on-base percentage. And a strike call. 1-2.
Yeah, David found out just how aggressive this lineup is. In his last start, he gave up 2 solo home runs in the first inning, and you're thinking, uh-oh, because of what this team's capable of. But he made an adjustment, started pitching to the corners, and really sailed from that point on.
Just missed with that one. Fastball off the plate a little bit in.
Yeah, that's always a big pitch for David, that glove side fastball. He will use it to surprise these righties. Pretty good pitch here, too.
A 2-2 count. Fowler takes it the other way. Foul, out of play.
That swing is why the previous pitch, even though it ended up a ball, is effective. That ball was in off the plate, and then the following pitch away, the swing by Fowler, very defensive, no real power in it, just kind of getting the bat out there and able to foul it off. Now you've got him thinking, what side of the plate will he go to?
Another foul ball out of play. As you mentioned, the Astros struck early against Price over in Houston. Fowler hit a breaking ball out to begin the bottom of the first inning.
Yeah, David had thrown him a really good breaking ball earlier in that bat. That one just kind of rolled in there, and Fowler jumped all over it.
He's out on strikes this time. Had him out in front. So he's worked both sides of the plate, and then the changeup gets Fowler. And there is Chris Archer, who pitched so well last night en route to his 4th win. We'll be hearing from Chris Archer off and on throughout the evening. He is mic'd up. Up there with Jake Odorizzi and Eric Bedard in the middle. Jose Altuve pitches a strike.
Already attracting a crowd.
Yep.
Anytime you have one of those microphones on, you got to watch who's trolling.
All right, here's the question, though. He is attracting a crowd, but Bedard's one of the quietest guys on the roster.
And that's what he just told him. I'm mic'd up. And off he ran.
He left. 2 strikes the count now to Altuve. Look, they're lined up.
They are.
They're lined up right there.
But you see Eric Bedard right here goes all the way down past Odorizzi, Cobb, then Bedard before you get into the position players.
Outside,
that's
1-2.
That's the one thing that I really love about this particular starting rotation. Not even this particular starting rotation. The Rays starting rotation, really, the last couple of years, such a close-knit group. When one of them's on the mound, the other 4 almost always together, just like that. Great to see.
It's fouled up the right side, going to be out of play. Did you see that in the teams and rotations you were in?
No. Not even close. I mean, maybe you would get 2 guys together, and then one by himself, and then another guy that preferred the position. However it worked, but I never saw this, and it's so valuable because it just shows you how much they care about each other. They'll watch each other's bullpen sessions on off days, and then obviously when you're hanging out like that, you're sharing a lot of information against hitters, things that you may see that someone else doesn't.
A base hit the other way out of the reach of Forsythe. That gives Altuve 99 hits on the year. He's tops in the American League in total hits.
Now let's take a quick look at the Rays defense as it lines up tonight. Brought to you by Gold and Diamond Source. Before we get back to Jose Altuve in the outfield, left to right, Brandon Guyer, Desmond Jennings, and Kevin Kiermaier. Across the infield, third to first, Longoria, Escobar, Forsythe, and Loney. Jose Molina will be behind the plate. You mentioned all those hits, Dwayne, from Altuve. You watch him take batting practice, there's a reason why. He really works at his ability, or on his ability, to hit the ball the other way. And that's what leads to all those hits and all those opportunities.
And he's a difficult guy to go deep into the count with. I mean, we talked about how aggressive this Houston team is. He draws a handful of walks, but he hits his way on most of the time. And one of the better hitters, as it turns out, second in the American League coming into this game and hitting.
And watch him on the base paths, too.
Yeah, he leads the league in steals with a great percentage, 26 out of 29.
22. 2 for 2 last night. You saw that. David Price opposing base stealers against him. The last couple of years, he's given up 11 out of 21. He had the 5 pickoffs last year, but teams, because of the way that David's able to dominate, they will try to attack him from time to time. Not easy to run on, but sometimes you got to try to create something against the pitcher of David Price's stature.
Want to know the count to George Springer, the young slugger? 12 home runs and 78 strikeouts. Struck out once last night. There's a big cut and a miss. 1-1. Well, we heard before the Houston series about him and his power and how hard he swings and that big cut, and we've seen nothing but that. I mean, a big, powerful cut every time up there.
And we've also seen a Rays pitching staff that has pitched him very, very well. That series in Houston, 11 at-bats, 9 strikeouts.
That's strike 2, 1-2.
David Price able to close him out on the fastball in over in Houston as he gets strike 2 on that with the changeup. That's the thing. If you're going to have a one-size-fits-all swing like that, and it's that hard, that's going to lead to a lot of holes in your swing. And if you find a pitching staff that can hit its spots and change speeds, they're going to have their way with
it. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Fastball that missed.
And not by much. Good idea here by David. You could have, I guess.
Yep.
Right there.
Altuve at first with a base hit. Fowler struck out to start the game. An eye on Altuve at first. He has 26 steals. Jacoby Ellsbury next with 20. Rajat Davis also has 20 of the Tigers. It's going to be out of play. Count still 2-2. And another guy with a big swing on deck, John Singleton.
Yeah, the whole key with a lot of the guys in this lineup is make your pitches. It's great to have plus stuff, but it's also as important, if not more important, to be able to command your stuff. If you can do that, you can have success against this lineup.
Strike 3 call. Springer caught looking. Just a little movement at the end right there.
Well, it had been fastballs to both sides of the plate and the changeup to get to this point, and then how about the backdoor cutter? Backdoor cutter, George Springer caught looking.
Two outs with a man at first. Singleton. That pitch close to a fastball, mid-90s. David's misses have been close here in the first inning. Foul ball, 1-1.
And the one thing that you'll say about David's misses is you'd rather miss where he's missing than out over the plate, because that's where this team can do its damage. If you're shooting for that corner and you miss just off, okay, you can live with that. You're shooting for that corner and you're missing middle, that's when things can get a little bit dicey. David has such good command.
And he checks on the base runner, Jose Altuve at first.
Look at him just coming into this season now with 123 strikeouts as opposed to 10 walks. Just a ridiculous ratio.
1-1 here. And that pitch is wide. 2 balls and a strike. Two strikeouts in the inning, sandwiched around the base hit by Altuve. Close again with the hard stuff, but off the plate. 3-1.
Fielding Colbreth being very consistent in that pitch, and even pitches that are even closer than that, not giving anything on that side of the plate right now.
There's a strike. Runs the count full.
You're not going to see John Singleton take too many 3-1 fastballs that are called strikes. He'll be ready to turn it loose here.
Three-two. And he just missed again for ball 4. So a walk puts Singleton at first and pushes Altuve into second.
David Price shooting that corner again, and this one just off the plate. Consistently, it has been called a ball. That one, that's just David Price's second walk, third walk, in now his last 5 starts.
How about that? I mean, it's been amazing. Only his 11th all year to go with 123 strikeouts. Here's Matt Dominguez. And a line drive down to third, caught by Longoria. Astros leave 2. They do not score. Rays coming into hit.
Fox Sports.
I love you, George.
Hey, man.
George, I love you.
Okay, you got to announce that.
You're looking for any reason not to talk to me, aren't you, cuz? Hey, cuz!
Chris Archer's first installment tonight. And he went right to the toughest guy to get to talk to him. So it should all be easy from here on out. George Hendrick wanted nothing to do with that. For your Southern Ford dealers, line up for the Rays tonight. Desmond Jennings, Kevin Kiermaier, and Evan Longoria. James Loney, Jerry Sands, the DH, and Brandon Guyer in there in left. In front of Yunel Escobar, Jose Molina, and Logan Forsythe. Facing Jared Cosart, the first pitch. Desmond fouls it out of play for a strike.
Well, Jared making his 15th start of the season, 6-5 record, ERA 4.16. You know, we touched on this in the pregame show, but his last 10 starts, 3 earned runs or fewer in all 10. He's been extremely consistent since the middle of April. Although I'll say this, his last start came against the Rays, and they did have their opportunities against him. 9 hits in 7 innings, had a walk. Only able to push across 3 runs, and they would drop that game, but they did have chances.
There's a strike on the outside part of the plate. It's 1-2. Cosart worked 7 innings in that one, gave up the home run to Longoria. That's when he matched up against Chris Archer. Go to 2-2, and the Rays not afraid to put right-handed hitters in there against Cosart tonight. And his matchups, a little better average right-handed hitters than lefties against him.
And you're going to see Jerry Sands, Logan Forsythe in there to go with the normal righties.
The high chop down to Dominguez in third, and throw there in time. 1 away.
Well, and the thing that effectively happens is because of that, you know, right-handed hitters, you look at Jared Cosart's numbers over the season, he's a 2-pitch pitcher. He's fastball. He's got a couple different variations of that fastball, and he'll use that to keep the ball on the ground. You see the splits. It's not terribly in favor of the righties, but a 25-point difference. But you make him a 2-pitch pitcher as a right-handed hitter, where the lefties will see a little bit of the changeup.
Yeah, he's basically fastball, curveball.
Yep.
Against right-handers. Now Kevin Kiermaier takes a fastball around the knees, strike 1.
Well, then you start to think, is some of those guys going to be in there tonight? Jerry Sands, you know, he's a guy that, you know, not overpowering, balls down in the zone, which is where Cosart is going to pitch. Very good with those pitches. You know, he can handle them very well. Brandon Guyer coming off of a little stint off of the disabled list on a rehab assignment, hitting the ball hard. You know, so you're going to see a different look tonight, but obviously well thought out by Joe Madden.
Just foul, pulled outside the right field line. 1-2.
Kiermaier finally got himself a fastball out over the plate, and he did not miss that one. Paul Clemens serving up that home run to Kevin Kiermaier. That's really where the Rays blew the game open late.
Yeah, Kiermaier and Longoria went back-to-back in the 7th inning. All the scoring came with 2 men out. The chop to the right side, and the toss to first. Altuve takes care of that. So a couple of ground ball outs to start the Rays first.
Now let's take a quick look at the Houston Astro defense, brought to you by Gold and Diamond Source. In the outfield, left to right, Jesus Guzman, Dexter Fowler, and George Springer. Across the infield, third to first, Matt Dominguez, Jonathan Villar, Jose Altuve, and John Singleton. Jason Castro will handle the catching duties.
Evan now with 9 home runs. Fouls the first pitch. That's a strike. Boy, Evan connected on a fastball last night in the 7th inning. And he and Kiermaier went back-to-back for home run number 9. One and one. To look at the blast off the bat of Evan last night.
Yeah, nice to see him getting to that ball up in the zone like that. Fastball with elevation. And that showed you quick hands, explosive swing.
Now 1 and 2.
I think that's what we've all been waiting for. You know it's in there. You've seen him too good for too long. And finally, the last little while, Evan has started to crank it up with that swing, really starting to turn it loose.
It's inside. Fastball from Cosart. It's James Loney. He would be next. 2 outs with the bases empty right now. Fly ball shallow right for Springer. And the Rays are up and down. 1, 2, 3. We head into the second inning. No score. All on Sun Sports, brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. By AT&T, mobilizing your world. And by Checkers. Checkers brings big flavor for a small price. Feed your craving for quality for only $1. Cha-ching. Homestand continuing tonight for this series. Game 2 of a 4-game series with Houston. Jason Castro leads off and shoots it into right field. One hop and to the wall. Nice play by Kiermaier on the carom, but into second goes Castro with a double. He jumped on the first pitch fastball.
Well, it speaks of the aggressiveness of this Astro lineup, and Jason Castro left on left gets a ball middle in, gets the head out and shoots this ball. One hops the wall. Kiermaier always hustling out there. Boy, he gets good jumps. He's got good speed. He gets to those balls quickly. And if you're not running out of the box, he's going to hold you to a single on some of those.
Yeah, he's quick and he's fast.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, he is immediately at full speed ahead.
So you got that quick twitch, a good speed to get there, and then a good arm. Tell you what.
Not many liberties taken there.
No. And you know what? And it aids him as a hitter, too. You know, out of the box, he's quick. He gets to full speed really fast. And then is always looking to go for 2, even on what would be considered a routine single.
Well, he has 13 extra base hits, 25 hits. Over half of them have been for extra bases. And you would think He's got 7 doubles and a couple triples. And as much as it is power, it's speed that has propelled him into those doubles and a triple or 2.
A handful of those doubles are just effort. They're singles. They're singles that he has run into doubles that probably nobody else does.
2 strikes the count to Chris Carter. And that's strike 3 call. Carter out on strikes. 3rd strikeout of the night for David Price, and that's a number that Price will remember. That's number 1,000 in his career. David Price chalking up his 1,000th strikeout. Only other Rays pitcher with 1,000 strikeouts was James Shields, and now David Price has touched the 1,000 mark in strikeouts. First pitch is a strike to Jesus Guzman. There it is, number 1,000.
And how appropriate, glove side heater.
Shields in Rays history with 1,250. Price with 1,000. Cansmere next. Cut the miss. 0-2. Houston left a couple men on in the first. An immediate scoring opportunity with the double on the first pitch served by Price here in the second, with Castro double to right. Close there with a fastball. 1-2. Near misses by Price, but he's always around the strike zone.
I'll tell you what, you know, some of those have been off the plate and some of them have been right on the corner, still not getting that call. Not nearly as much as he would like. Those are good pitches.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Boy, Field and Colbert stingy with that strike zone here in the early part of this game.
Yeah, you get the feeling that the entire baseball has to be on the plate. Can't catch just a little bit.
Ground ball back to the mound. Price running Castro. They've got him in a rundown now. Longoria, Escobar. Forsythe comes over to put the tag on him. Took him a little longer than they'd like, but they got the job done.
Yep, they get the out on Castro, but you got to tip your hat to Jason Castro for staying in the rundown that long. That allowed Guzman to make it all the way out to second base. Right here, David Price catches him right there. Okay, get rid of it, and this is where you want to get him. You want to pin him back here at second base, and then that would keep Guzman at first. But because he was able to peel back and head towards third, this will give you a great look. And when you want to get him, if you run this play perfectly, you get him right here going back. That allows Guzman to get to second.
So that goes 1-4, 5-6-4. Castro cut down. Guzman at second with 2 outs for Jonathan Villar, the shortstop. It's a strike. So now it's Guzman off second. Cut the miss on the fastball. Two on. Man at second, 2 strikes. The count on VR. Close again with a fastball.
Now this is definitely going to be over the plate, but Colbert obviously has that pitch down, and another one that.
Well, there's not much up, not much down, not much room on either side. You're right. That whole baseball's got to be in the zone, I guess.
Makes it tough to pitch.
Yes, it does.
Thank goodness for having plus stuff, because that's about your only chance with a strike zone like this.
So far, it's been very small. Ground ball by the mound to second. Forsythe has it. That'll retire the side. Astros leave a man at second. The Rays coming in to hit in the bottom half of the inning. And here is strikeout number 1,000 of David Price's career, catching Chris Carter looking. At the Trop tonight, and the game on all season long for that matter. Tires Plus donates $100 to the Pediatric Cancer Foundation for every Tampa Bay Rays home run televised right here on Sun Sports. James Loney leads off. Quick shot of Jerry Sands. He'll be next. He is the DH tonight. Fouls it away. Only had a couple hits in last night's game.
A good sign for this Rays offense. You'd like to see him get going again, start pushing that average up close to 300, where it belongs.
1-1. He sees a lot of pitches. He hits a lot of line drives, and all of that would recommend a good average when all is finished. Takes a strike from Cosart. 1-2.
And you can see that, just that fastball, good velocity Cosart gets with that. Not a huge strikeout guy, but he will cut it just a little bit on that back door to Loney. He'll cut it away from the righties, just movement all over the place. And that's what leads to so many ground balls.
There's one, a chopper down to first. Singleton unassisted. One away in the second inning. You see the ground ball fly ball ratio right there for Cozart.
2.4 tonight so far. 4 hitters. It's 3-1. So that's, Cozart knows, and watching him, when he's going well, he's going to keep a lot of balls on the ground, keep his infielders busy.
Well, Jerry Sands would like to lift one of those.
And that's why he's in there. The way that his swing is built, he's the type of guy that he can get to that ball down in the zone. Right here, the hand stay.
The big cut right there, and that caught Castro.
Sure did. And was able to squeeze right through there, and see it here.
Right on the knee. You've got that protection. Time now for you to tweet your photo using hashtag #SunsportsFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming game broadcast brought to you by AT&T. Castro, all right. He's had some knee issues. He had a cyst removed from his knee the end of last year. He's going to be all right. Ready to resume, and the count 1-1 here on Sands. Strike 2. Breaking ball.
Yeah, I've not seen too many of those here in the early going as Jared Cozart really tries to establish that fastball of his. But that is the secondary offering that Rays hitters will have to contend with all night long.
Ground ball right side. Grabbed by Altuve, and the throw to first is wide. Altuve, a sliding pickup out there, and a hurried throw was wide. Sands has himself a base hit.
Yeah, great effort by Altuve to get there. As you see him slide, make the play. Now, in order to complete it, it's the throw, and rush that throw, and really didn't need to. Jerry Sands running, and he's running hard, but he is not a speed demon by any stretch. He picks up an infield hit there.
There's Brandon Guyer. There's a strike around the knees. Sands back in at first. Move back in at first. Sands with the infield hit. We mentioned the procedure last year at the end of the season for Castro. He also missed the entire season. It was 2011 with a torn ACL in that right knee. Swing, and a little piece of it foul in behind the catcher and the plate umpire Field and Colbert. So that'll put Geyer down 0-2.
Well, you see how Cozart, you see the foul tip, but the way that he gets on the side of that baseball, and that's what creates that little bit of cutting action almost on every one that he throws. And he'll cut it same plane. Sometimes he'll get on top of it and it'll have a little bit of depth. He'll almost use it as a really hard slider. But that fastball very rarely stays straight.
Into the dirt. Castro stays in front of it to block it. Hard curveball right there. And it's a 1-2 count. Geyer found himself in the lineup last night and left. Reached on a fielder's choice and an error and scored a run. 2-2 right now. Something off that curveball there. So it's still a 2-2 count. Ground ball headed toward the middle, through into center. Turn at second. Sands will hold there, and it's first and second. Back-to-back base hits by Jerry Sands and Brandon Geyer. The Rays making a little noise in the second.
Well, here's another one of those fastballs. This one stays out, and Geyer stays on top of it. I'll tell you what, the last two hitters, 2 ground balls, but 2 base hits. And now you've got a little something going here.
Yadiel Escobar, the hitter now for the Rays. Escobar coming out of the Baltimore series 2 out of 10 with a home run. Had a hit last night and a run batted in. Rays with an opportunity early tonight. It was Escobar who got the scoring started last night in the 4th inning with an RBI single up the middle. Lays off the breaking ball. Ground ball back to the hill. Back to second 1. First base 2. 1-4-3 on the double play. Escobar hits into the inning-ending double play. No runs, 2 hits, 1 left. We've completed 2. Houston nothing and the Rays nothing.
T-shirt.
Talk to me, cuz. Talk to me, baby. Give me a hug. Give me a hug.
Come on, man. Agitate the grabber. And then go, make me get out of my chair.
Archer's persistent.
Yes. He was doing a pretty good George Hendrick there,
yeah,
too.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's funny.
First pitch to Dexter Fowler. Third inning underway. David Price on the hill. 3 strikeouts to get to 1,000 in his career. Altuve next, and then Springer. Pitch up. Foul ball right there. Takes it to 2-2. Altuve on deck. Fowler coming over from the Colorado Rockies. Foul ball keeps the count right where it is.
It really fits a need for this Astro ball club. It gives them a center fielder. You know, you think about Houston. We were there last weekend. Big center field all the way out to 436. Got to navigate a hill, a foul, or a flagpole. A lot of things going on up there. So you need someone who can run. Well, you get that, and you get a good on-base guy in the lineup. Although not here.
Strike 3 call. Fastball this time. He was out on a change in the first inning. And he's out on strikes. Caught looking here.
Well, this has been a pitch early on. You're not sure. You go in there, that one a strike, could be a ball the next time. Colbreth rings him up, and Dexter Fowler on his way out is asking him. You can see good shot of that right on the corner. Yeah. Perfect pitch by Price.
Either or.
Yeah.
I mean, it certainly wasn't a strike the first couple innings, but you'd like to have that pitch called a strike because the pitch was right there on the corner.
Right.
So how about giving it?
It is a strike. I've proven I can do it more than once.
1-0 now to Altuve. He was an all-star a couple of years ago and having a very solid year for them again this year. Price behind him.
Astros gave him, I believe it was a 4-year extension in the middle of last season. It was a down year for Altuve compared to what he had done in 2012. Well, he is right back having a great year.
Yeah, July of last year they gave him a 4-year deal. And he wound up hitting .283 last year after making the All-Star team in 2012. And right now he's making a run at the batting title, second in the league at .331 coming in, and a base hit his first time. Count goes to 2 balls, 2 strikes, so he's hitting .333 right now. He's strong. It'd be interesting that there had been some talk around Houston if he were a little more selective, because that strike zone is not a big one that he presents there. And he is strong. He's got some pop in his bat. Be interesting to see what he could do then. I mean, you can't quarrel with .333 right now. There's a base hit through the hole, and he's 2 for 2, and he has 100 hits now on the year.
Well, he came in once again 7 in the lead, and now has extended that. Well, who knows what's going on in other games, but He's certainly not losing any ground to anybody. 2 out of 2, a ball that's up and out over the plate, and a nice job to stay on that off-speed delivery and just hammer it in the hole. And whether or not you're a guy that does a pretty good job of controlling the running game or not, you've got to be weary or leery of Jose Altuve, because he's the type of base stealer that'll try it on anybody.
George Springer in the batter's box, and he hits one a mile down the line, and that ball is fair. A home run for George Springer. Well, that big swing, and he finally caught one and hit it down the line, fair and out of here, and Houston will take a 2-0 lead.
Well, you'll remember he punched out in his first at bat looking. He was furious in that dugout, and right here, the first pitch that he sees, you see that pitch middle of the plate, and that's what you worry about. You miss your spots against some of the guys in this lineup, and this is what can happen.
16th home run given up by David Price, the 13th home run of the year for Springer. There's another power-laden hitter, the left-handed bat of John Singleton. 1 ball, no strikes.
16 home runs by David Price matches what he gave up last year and the year before. 16 total in 2012 and 2013.
1-1, that pitch is strike. Well, the only question about that one was, would it be fair? And it certainly was. Plenty of distance on it. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Here's the Springer home run. How about that? With the D-ring. That's a poke.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Wow. Strike 3 call on Singleton.
That strike zone is widening a little bit. I think David Price showing Field and Colbreth that he is going to continue to hit those spots. That ball, I'll guarantee you, was off the plate. That wasn't even a borderline. And yet he's going to get the call right here. Boom.
There you go. Field and Colbreth moving things along here in the third. Oh, 1 to count on Matt Dominguez. Strike 2. .2 miles per hour off the bat of George Springer on his home run. 105.2. Cut out to hurry. Swing and a miss. Dominguez missed the fastball up. 3 pitches, he's out, but 2-run score. 2-0 Houston. The D-ring in left field, top half of the third, to give Houston this 2-0 lead. Kids, if you're looking for some fun and something fun to do this summer, come play where the Rays play at the Rays Summer Baseball Camp. You can create your own memories by hitting at home plate, just like Evan Longoria, or pitching from the mound like David Price. To register, go to raysbaseball.com/camps. Jose Molina will open the bottom of the third for the Rays. Then Logan Forsythe, and back around to the top of the order, Desmond Jennings. First pitch is upstairs from Jared Cozart. Ground ball. That's going to be up the middle and into center field. A base hit for Molina. Jose Molina picking up his 15th hit of the year.
A good start here for the Rays, looking to answer what the Astros did. Jose Molina hitting out of the 8th spot tonight, gets one of those fastballs cutting away from him, and he just plays pepper with the center fielder.
Now Logan Forsythe. It's a strike. Fastball a little bit away from him. Shot the same spot, missed a little bit. 1-1. Rays had a couple men on in the second, but a double play ball ended that threat. We're now in the third. Forsythe late, fouls it out of play. Ball 92, 93 in that neighborhood. Two and two. Curveball, and was blocked by Castro. Well, 24-year-old right-hander, Cozart.
Overall, he sits at about 70% fastballs, upper 20s with the curveball, and then a few percentage points with that changeup, and mostly all of those are to the left-handed hitters. So these Rays hitters know what they're going to see.
Right-hander, your fastball, curveball.
That's it. And the curveball, we've not seen that many of them, and we've not seen many. Yeah, that the
kind of rolled up there,
trying to find his release point. He's bounced a couple. That one, like you said, up and out of the zone. Right now, just living off of that fastball with just a little bit of movement on it.
We talked about this over in Houston. Brent Strom, their pitching coach, has tried some variations with him, and we talked about that one-fingered fastball, try to get a little more depth to that to give him a little something extra for the hitter to consider. Forsythe, just a little piece of it foul.
The one thing that we haven't seen, though, we haven't seen any fastballs moving to the arm side. Everything has been relatively straight to a little bit of a cut, but no real sink. I mean, he does get a lot of ground balls, but you've not seen that movement back towards the right-handed hitters. Everything kind of cutting away from them.
Yeah, that was Brent Strom right there, the pitching coach for Houston. He'd been in Houston before as the pitching coach in the last few years in the Cardinals system, where he'd worked with a lot of their young pitchers coming through, and we know how important that has been to the St. Louis success.
You see them coming up one after the other. It seems like
really
every year, yeah, they come up with somebody else who bursts on the scene with a big year.
They get a veteran guy get hurt, and here comes another young arm through their system, and they develop them in a hurry.
You've got to be able to, either through trades or through the draft, to be able to target these guys, get them into your system, and then start to develop them from there and build that depth. You're not going to go through a season too many times with just 5 starters, if ever.
So the count right there, 3-2. Fastball in the mid-90s that time from Cozart.
The Rays right now able to dial in just on that one pitch.
Will Porter, the Houston manager. The cut and the miss, the runner going. Now that's going to be a foul ball. Forsythe is still alive. Molina had a little delayed start, but it's a foul ball. The ball hit the dirt. Forsythe is still alive up there.
Yeah, well, the thing is, too, let's take a look at this swing. I'm saying foul ball there, okay, but the middle infielders, they don't know that. They see a swing, a potential swing and a miss. Castro up ready to throw, and everybody falls asleep in the middle of the diamond. Molina's off and going, and there is nobody covering with any sense of urgency.
That truly was the element of surprise.
Send him again.
The 2 middle infielders surprised more than anybody else in the ballpark.
Maybe not everybody.
There he goes again. Swing and a miss. This time Molina heads to second, and down to first base goes Forsythe. How about that? Just a swing and a miss, and the Rays have 2 base runners. Of course, first base was occupied, which means that Forsythe is out. But the Rays had Molina running again on that full count.
Well, to stay out of that double play. And here's the swing and a miss on a curveball short, but you do get Molina into scoring position. Here he goes, off and running.
So Molina gets his first stolen base of the year. Not the first time he's ever stolen a base. He's done that a few times. They started him twice on the 3-2 counts. Forsythe out on strikes. 1 gone, and here's Jennings, top of the order.
Jose Molina frisky tonight. Back-to-back pitches, he's off and running.
Leading off an inning with a base hit, stealing a base.
Just making plays, that's all. Not a bad percentage either.
How about that? 18 of 25 for his career. Strike, and it's 1-1. Jennings taking a big cut at that curveball.
You can see recognition by Desmond as he stopped his swing and then tried to uncork on that curveball that hung. And that's been an inconsistent pitch. Even the one that he struck Logan Forsythe out with is not the curveball you're looking for in a full count. He bounced that.
It's in the dirt.
Yeah, way. And not even borderline in the dirt. That was way out in front that he bounced that. So Castro couldn't even make a play on it. Still searching for that pitch.
Tapped by the mound. 2-base throw, and Jennings made it close over there. To third goes Molina.
I'll tell you what, through the first game of this series and then now into the third inning, some shaky play here in the infield by the Astros. That right there taking a little bit too long. That almost allowed Jennings to sneak in there at first base on a tapper to second.
So Molina's all the way to third base now with 2 outs, and Kevin Kiermaier will try to get him home to get the Rays on the board. They trailed 2-0. Pitch covered up by Castro.
And that was the first changeup that we have seen tonight. And a really nice job by Castro, because that ball wasn't really anywhere near the strike zone.
Well, you could see the look on Cozart's face. He's frustrated with himself.
I'd like to find an off-speed pitch that's going to work. Right now, he's limited in effectiveness, primarily with that fastball.
And there's a strike. He put the curveball in there.
That's the one you don't want to see come around. Pulling for the Rays in this ball game. That's a good curveball right there.
Fastball low. Kiermaier, the first time up, hit the ball in the hole on the right side, but Altuve was right there as they have the shortstop up the middle, a couple of steps to the first base side of second, and Altuve, the second baseman, right in the middle of the hole on the right side. And we go to 3-1. Well, Longoria would be next if Kiermaier can keep this inning going. The Rays have Jose Molina at third and 2 outs. And there is ball 4. Kiermaier draws a walk to get Longoria to the plate.
I'll tell you what, after falling behind, Cozart, he was able to even it up at 1-1 and then really never came back to Kiermaier. You see this walk may come back to haunt him facing Longoria here.
Evan faced him in the first, hit a fly ball to right field. In the game in Houston when Cozart pitched against the Rays, Longoria homered in the 5th inning of that game off a curveball. That's been problematic for Cozart so far tonight. And he starts him with one and misses low. 1 ball, no strikes. Here is that home run in Houston.
Well, it kind of hung up in the zone. Evan let it just break right into the sweet spot of his swing, and he hammered that pitch.
Pitch is wide. 2-0. He's gone curveball. He's gone fastball. And behind in the count. Good numbers there. 2 outs. Men in scoring position for Evan. 364. Numbers good overall this year with runners in scoring position. Lifts it toward right center field. Fowler is there to make the catch, and the Rays leave 2. We go to the 4th. 2-0. mic'd up tonight. Let's drop in on a conversation between Chris and Jake Odorizzi.
That's why I like watching him pitch, because it shows us what we're capable of being.
When he's throwing to a spot, he usually misses by this or this.
Right.
If we do it, it's like could be way up there.
Yeah.
These ones.
That happens often.
A lot.
Well, those two young pitchers talking about watching David Price pitch and the small margin by which he might miss. And back in the first inning or two, he had some pitches on the corner when that strike zone was a little tighter, tended to open a bit in the third. So we go to the fourth. We'll see what happens. There's a first pitch strike to Jason Castro on a curveball to start the inning. Castro, Carter, and then Guzman. 0-2.
That's where David will use that cutter almost like a slider to the left-handed hitter. Cut that ball just a little bit more, even maybe at times give it a little bit of depth.
And strike three call. Fastball. Three different pitches to Castro. And that's strikeout number 7. Castro not happy. More Toyota trend. See David Price since coming back July the 2nd of last year in that start against Houston. What he's done. 6 complete games and the strikeouts 223. That strikeout to walk ratio 9.70. Here's Carter lifting a high pop foul, third base side. Longoria's after it, reaching in, and he's got it for the out. Carter had struck out in 7 consecutive at bats. This time he fouls out to Longoria.
Yeah, not wasting any time, going to swing early. He does it, and nice job by Evan Longoria heading over to the Astros dugout. Concentration, find the railing, lean, and make the play. Well done. Probably not going to get a whole lot of help over there. Self-reliant.
Here's Guzman, the number 8 hitter, takes the first pitch for a ball. So a couple of quick outs to start the fourth on 4 pitches, 2 outs. There's a strike, and it's 1-1. Wide. It's now 2 balls and a strike. Did notice a number of scouts here tonight with David on the mound. There'll be a lot of speculation about that. The tapper, that's going to be a tough play. No play at first. Infield hit for Guzman. Scout from the Yankees. The Rays do play the Yankees on their next road trip, and Blue Jays had a scout here. They don't play them until right before the All-Star break here. I think there was one from a couple of National League clubs here. 5 or 6 of them here. Just stopping by.
Seeing what's out there.
Yep. Jonathan Villar, the shortstop. There's ball 1. 1-0. Ground ball headed to second. Forsythe has it. Villar's out of there. The Astros are finished in the fourth. A hit and the man left. No runs. Braves will have Loney, Sands, and Geyer coming up in the fourth. Down 2-0. Baseball on Sun Sports is brought to you by Tampa Bay Radiation Oncology. When cancer strikes, strike back with CyberKnife. Available exclusively at Tampa Bay Radiation Oncology. And by Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. Visit us at Publix.com. James Loney to open the bottom of the fourth. Pitch is a strike. Sands next. Loney grounded out to first in the second inning, 0 for 1. Two. A ball and 2 strikes. Blue Jays batting in the top of the fourth. In Cincinnati, the Reds had an 8-run second inning. Reds lead 8-3. Hendricks pitching and knocked out in that game.
Blue Jays have been wobbling a little bit. Went into New York. They were swept there.
Yeah, they're up by a game and a half over the Yankees right now. Dropped 7 of their last 10.
Yep. You just never know. You just never know. Team looks like world beaters one week, can't get out of their own way the next.
Well, the Yankees have won 7 of their last 10, and they've narrowed that gap. It happened just that quickly.
Well, they were able to do it the head-to-head. Toronto comes in, New York sweeps them. In fact, I think they beat them in New York 16 straight times. Toronto just cannot get over that hump of winning a game at Yankee Stadium. And that's how you will make up ground. I mean, you win the head-to-heads like that, and you just shoot up the standings, which is exactly what the Yankees have done.
Some interesting races there. Toronto, game and a half on the Yankees and 2.5 on Baltimore. Kansas City a half on Detroit. Washington a half up on Atlanta in the National League in the East.
Well, that's why when you start to talk about potential trades in the trade market, everybody is saying, that this is really a seller's market because so many teams are still in it that if you want to move a piece, you can sit back and who's going to come in and blow me away.
Yep. And the National League West has tightened up a little bit. The Giants have lost 5 in a row. So that's now a 4-game lead over there. Loney is out short to first. Scout here from the Giants, by the way, tonight.
It's not Pat Burrell, is it? You like that?
I do. And I'm just not going to go there.
We're all in trouble if
yeah,
it is.
That's right. We're in big trouble. Yeah. I'm not going there, especially if Pat's here.
He'll find his way up to us.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the scary part.
Sands lines out to Fowler. 2 gone. Somebody asked me earlier today if I was ever speechless in a broadcast. It happened tonight. That was it. Get more Joe for less dough with the Rays Flex Pack. Save big and select any 3, 6, or 9 games. Introductory prices start at just $49. Call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com today. Now Brandon Guyer takes a pitch outside. 1-0. Guyer had a base hit in the 2nd inning. 2 balls, no strikes. Houston scored 2 in the 3rd. The Rays batting with nothing doing so far in the 4th inning. Had a couple of opportunities in the 2nd and 3rd, but nothing came of them. Guyer fouls it back, 2-1. Three balls and a strike. Escobar on deck. Ground ball. Oh, what a stop by Dominguez. Gets himself up and makes the throw to first right on the money. Dominguez has been impressive in the series we saw him in Houston. A very fine play right there by the Houston third baseman. And it's 3 up, 3 down for the Rays. We go to the 5th, 2-0 Houston. Leading. Put your hands together tomorrow The Rays host the Astros and turn back the clock to the 70s. The Rays Summer Concert Series continues after the game with the OJs playing hits like Backstabbers and For the Love of Money. The concert free with the purchase of that game's ticket. Visit RaysBaseball.com/concerts or call 888-FAN-RAYS. 0-1 to the top of the order, Dexter Fowler. A couple of strikeouts for Fowler in this game. He was not happy being called out on strikes in the third. Takes a pitch away, and now Price is behind him. 2 balls, no strikes. 7 strikeouts for Price. Giving up a couple runs and 5 hits. And he's behind 3-0 to count to Fowler with Jose Altuve due up next. Ball 4. So that's the second walk given up here by Price tonight.
And only the third walk to lead off an inning all season long. You know, that's one of the other reasons why David Price so successful is he really limits the opposition in leading off an inning. And when you can get that first out, it gives you that much more of a chance to get through that inning unscored upon. And he's held hitters leading off an inning a 248 average, very good, but just 268 on base because of the 2 walks. Obviously, this is a third walk. A good on base guy with good speed and a good guy at the plate now with being able to hit the ball the other way and see if the Astros get aggressive here with the lead.
Altuve is 2 for 2 tonight. He takes the ball into right field, lifts it for Kiermaier, who makes the catch, and Fowler has to get back to first and stay there for a while. Meanwhile, let's check in with Todd Callis. Todd?
All right, Dwayne, we're trying to get an estimation of where this home run by George Springer would have landed. And based on about 6 different eyewitness accounts, including a guy who was here for Vinny Castillo's home run, the longest in Tropicana Field history, most people put it right around here within 5 or 10 feet, which would make it the longest home run in Trop history. But the D-ring catwalk got in the way, so you can never tell. But that's just the best guess. Most people said that ball was moving, probably would have landed in the party deck. Guys, back to you.
Well, that doesn't surprise me because he hit that ball about as well as you're going to hit one. Here's Springer again. Pitch is high, 105.2 miles per hour, the hit speed.
And it was towering. You see it right there. I mean, I'd have to agree that it's going to be up in that party deck for sure, just a matter of how many rows.
A foul ball back, 1-1. Well, we've seen those long and very aggressive swings from Springer, and he got a hold of one in the third.
Well, and the one thing about that pitch is it leaked back across the plate, had a little bit of elevation to it, and ended up pretty much right down the middle. And that's where Springer obviously can hurt you. David's going to try to stay to the edges here.
And a cut and a miss. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
And for the most part, the swing that you see from Springer is the swing you're going to get no matter what. I mean, he's not going to change his approach here and all of a sudden try to hit the ball the other way. He's still going to take a huge rip. So you can go back out and make the same pitch if you want.
It's Fowler at first, Dexter Fowler. Top of the 5th, 1 on, 1 out. 2-0 game, Houston. Up to the right side, foul, long run for Kiermaier, and he will get it. there safely. Kiermaier, an unbelievable catch down in the bullpen. Forsythe came angling in. He couldn't get there. Kiermaier did, and Fowler tags to advance to second.
Now, it gives them a chance here. It's so high. And then all-out effort by Kiermaier. One last check to see where the bullpen bench was and the guys on it. And what a sliding catch. Tell you what, heads up, too, on Dexter Fowler's part to move up on that, knowing that the right fielder coming a long way leaves his feet. Well played by both of them.
An extraordinary catch. We've seen catches by Kiermaier since he's been up that have been remarkable. That flying catch he made to right center field earlier here at the Trop on the homestand last. And that one, just an outstanding catch. Great effort to get there and then to be able to finish the play. Simply amazing.
With bodies all around you, with a wall coming up, with a bench. Yeah, a lot of possible distractions on that, not to mention how far he had to go to make that play.
So 2 outs. Fowler moved up. John Singleton is the hitter. Pitch is a strike. Big cut and a miss.
You get the feeling that if David Price can continue to make that pitch, that John Singleton is never going to hit it. Yeah. Well, the bat's not long enough.
You got him looking away in the third. Ahead of him away here this time, and there is strike 3. Got him looking again. 94 with that one. Leadoff walk. Fowler's left on. Here's Kiermaier's fine catch down in the bullpen. Great grab. 2-0 Houston.
I think what confidence is trust. Like getting to the point to where you can trust your hands is having every at bat or every time I throw a pitch is the utmost confidence. That's the most confidence you can have, but it's through trust.
Chris Archer mic'd up in the Rays dugout tonight. Just dropping in on some random conversation.
Can't say that I disagree with him.
Sounds logical.
Well, you know what? It's so true. I mean, to be able to build that confidence, you got to be able to trust in your mechanics, whether you're pitcher, hitter, whatever it is. And if you're able to do that, then you feel confident and able to get the job done, no matter where they pitch you or what the hitter's trying to do against you. And it's just like you go back to David Price against John Singleton. I mean, you could see that at bat happening. The fastball down and away, and David probably saw the same thing. If I make that pitch, he can't do anything about it, and I can see that. That's exactly what he ended up doing.
Escobar goes after the 1-0 and skies it in the shallow center. We are out from shortstop. It's one away here in the home half of the fifth. Well, the Rays had men at first and second with one out in the second. Escobar's double play ball into that, and then they had Molina lead off the third with a single. Stole second when Forsythe struck out, wound up at third eventually, and was left there. And now here's Molina, one out, bases empty in the fifth. Cozart finds the zone on the outside part of the plate. Strike one. Toward the line and right. Springer drifting just inside the right field line. 2 gone, 4 pitches and 2 outs for Cozart in the bottom of the fifth inning.
Second baseman, Logan Forsythe.
Well, Forsythe had a 10-pitch at bat in the third and then chased the breaking ball in the dirt out on strikes. So he'd like to take his time here and give David Price a little more time anyway in the Rays dugout. The 2 quick outs. He goes after the first pitch. Well, forget about that. Springer's under it, makes the catch, and it's a 5-pitch inning for Cozart. We go to the 6th, 2-0 Houston. Through 5 innings, has picked up 8 strikeouts, surrendering 2 runs. He'd walked a couple, and that's been news. As much as the strikeout total has been impressive, if he walks a guy, that's news. George Springer connected for the long home run in the third, a 2-run shot. And that's it in the scoring department.
Yeah, there's your ball game right there. One pitch that leaked back out across the plate that victimized David Price, but other than that, he has been once again very good. But you're right about the walks too. Came into this start right here with just 10 on the season.
Matt Dominguez will open the 6th inning. Sends a fly ball to center. And Jennings is right there to make the catch. The 80th pitch of the night by David Price. Well, the Rays went down 1-2-3 on just 5 pitches in the bottom of the 5th. So Dominguez comes up, goes after the first pitch here in the 6th, and is retired.
That's what a lot of hitters, because of that walk total, that's what you're going to see from most lineups. They're up there ready to hit because they know David wants to get the jump on them, and he's going to be around the zone, if not in the zone, with almost every pitch. And so you'd better be ready to go when you get in the box. If not, you're going to find yourself down 0-2 rather quickly.
This is Jason Castro, called out on strikes in the 4th inning. Now 1-1. Ball cutting away from him.
Well, his first at bat, David threw him a fastball middle in. He pulled it to right field for a double. And ever since then, David has stayed away from him with the fastball and that cutter that he's been sweeping away from the left-handed hitters. Been effective.
Yeah, that pitch has been very effective for him against left-handed pitching. In fact, of course, the fastball is a big pitch for him, but and the cutter, he'll throw it to both righties and lefties, but lefties, it's been a nice pitch for him.
It has, and it's been something that he's been using more and more frequently, and the very nature of where he's trying to throw it, glove side, allows him to get good extension on it and will give it more cut.
Ooh, it's close right there. 2-2.
That was a nice job by Molina trying to present that pitch to Colbreth. It's a close pitch. Those are those little subtle movements that can every now and then get you a call.
Castro keeps the at bat going there, fouling that one away. Rays won last night 5-0 over Houston. They were shut out Wednesday 2-0 by Baltimore, and they're down 2-0 right now in the 6th. Houston scored both in the 3rd on the Springer home run. And Castro out on strikes. Combination of cutters and fastballs. He got him with a fastball there. 2 outs.
Now, David Price made a quick adjustment on Castro. Everything was away. You can see the cluster of pitches right there before he finally finishes them with a good fastball just off the outer edge. And to drive that ball to its spot and just overpower Castro.
Chris Carter, the designated hitter for Houston. 0 for 2. Fouled out his last time. Takes the first pitch for a strike. Price struck him out on 3 pitches in the 2nd inning. Got him looking at a fastball. He's down on the count 0-2. Carter was down on the count 0-2. First time up last night, struck out. Got down 0-2 in the 5th, struck out. Got down 0-2 in the 7th, struck out. Got down 0-2 in the 2nd inning tonight, struck out. Fouled out on the first pitch in the 4th. It's 0-2 here in the 6th. And he puts it into play with a popper shallow left. Geyer coming in a hurry, and he gets there. Geyer managed to arrive just in the nick of time. That had some hang time on it, and he still had to hurry to get to it. 1, 2, 3. The Houston Astros out in order. And we'll go to the bottom half of the 6th. 2-0 Houston.
Crush ball.
But when you start your swing, aren't you? Doesn't it like? Do you do that with your back leg?
I don't think about it. It probably happens.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know.
The best is when you don't have to think about it on the mound,
Right.
and it still comes out.
Well, that was good advice. Yogi Berra said you can't think and hit at the same time, and I think that's basically what Chris Archer was saying. It's optimal when you're on the mound and your mechanics are good, you're doing what you want to do, and you're not really thinking about it.
Oh, no. If you're thinking on the outside of in-between pitches, what you want to go to next, and a lot of that's instinctual. But if you're thinking about mechanical stuff, it's probably not going very well for you.
One strike to count to Desmond Jennings. 1-1. Kiermaier next, followed by Longoria. Rays have no runs, 3 hits, and a walk-off. Jared Cozart tonight. Stays high. 2-1. He's still trying to find the feel of that curveball. We've seen a couple of good ones, but it's been a challenge for him to get a handle on the curveball consistently.
Yeah, he's gotten all of his big outs, most of them anyway, with that fastball. And you're right, he's still searching. Fortunately for him, the movement on that fastball tonight has been pretty effective against these Rays hitters. He's pitched out a couple of times that he was in trouble and got out of those innings unscathed and had a quick bottom of the 5th.
Yeah, just 73 pitches through 5 innings. 2-2 here on Jennings in the 6th. It's out of play. Rays looking for their first run of the night. Jennings leading off.
See how he gets on the side of that baseball and just that little bit of subtle cutting action. Been doing that all night.
Curveball is low and the count goes to 3-2.
And that's why he's able to throw that fastball with that little bit of subtle movement at such a high velocity, because he's keeping his fingers behind the baseball just a little bit off to the side. So he's not getting around it where you're cutting it, getting a bigger break, and it's in the mid-upper 80s. He's still staying behind the baseball and then driving it with velocity.
Ground ball short, grabbed by VR, and his throws in time.
And I'll tell you what, it's gotten him a ton of ground balls tonight, and that's his game. I mean, for a guy that, a lot of times you see a scouting report, you say this guy 92, 93, 94, he'll get it up to 95 every now and then. You're thinking big strikeouts, but look at him on the side of the baseball, but still behind it. And that movement away from Desmond, and he pops that ball right into the ground. Gets those right-handers to reach for it. Either you get the soft, lazy fly balls or a lot of ground balls.
Kevin Kiermaier walked his last time. First time up, he hit the ball in the hole at first and second, but Altuve was right there as they defense Kiermaier around to the right side. Now he's down in the count on 2. It seems that we get a play a night out of Kevin Kiermaier like this one. That's fantastic.
3 quick looks at what was coming up. Then he goes down to the ground. You better believe it. David Price appreciates the effort and the final result of that play.
The ball that Springer fouled in that direction. Here's another roller toward the hole, and Altuve had him played perfectly. 2 up and 2 down. A couple ground ball outs. So the bases are empty, and Evan Longoria prepares to bat. Low. Well, the Rays looking for their first run. They've been involved in 19 shutouts this year. They've thrown 8. They've been shut out 11. The ground ball down to Dominguez. His throw to first on the button. 3 up, 3 down, 3 ground ball outs. We go to the 7th, 2-0 Houston. Out of the 7th inning, Houston scored 2 on the home run by Springer in the 3rd. Tonight's Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. 3 straight starts with 10 or more strikeouts. David Price 1 away from adding to that total. James Shields, the only other Rays pitcher in Rays history to do that, 3 in a row, and David Price a strikeout away from making it 4 in a row. Jesus Guzman opens the 7th. It's a first pitch strike, breaking ball. Away, 1-1. Cut to miss.
And now David decides to break out the curveball.
Yeah.
That's the thing about him. He always seems to save something for the second half of his outings. Tonight it's been the fastball, the cutter, occasional changeup, and now that we're into the 7th, okay, how about this? Got this waiting for you too.
And he strikes him out. That's 10 strikeouts for David Price. So David Price, for the 4th consecutive start, has picked up at least 10 strikeouts.
Now, a cutter at 87. You see Guzman way out in front. Big night for David in the strikeout department. The 4 that you mentioned, double digits, also picked up his 1,000th strikeout in the 2nd inning on the season. And it's based out of precision. He will overpower you, but he does it with great stuff and putting it in great spots. Fun to watch.
Now the first pitch is a strike. Jonathan Villar shortened on the bat. Strike 1. Well, David had 11 strikeouts against the Marlins on the 4th of June. Next start against Seattle, 10. And then in Houston, the last time out, 10. He has 10 tonight. And he's ahead of VR 0-2.
If you blink. That's the thing that makes David so dangerous, is not only his command, but his command to both sides of the plate, and then the ability to throw his secondary pitches, his off-speed pitches for strikes.
Fly ball toward the line and right. Kiermaier back angling toward the corner. Makes the catch. 2 outs. Well, this is the second game of a 4-game series. Game 3 tomorrow, and it will be festive indeed. Here's what's coming up on Rays Live tomorrow. A pregame show presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealer. Turn back the clock night, and Jake Odorizzi looks to keep things rolling. The OJs are here. Dexter Fowler takes a strike. Forsythe at second makes the throw to first. 1-2-3 in the top of the 7th. 7th inning stretch time. 2-0 Houston.
Of the 7th, and if you guys want to continue planning your weekend around the Rays, both watching our telecast and coming out here to Tropicana Field, here are a few fun things on tap for this weekend. Tomorrow's Rays Astros game is turn black the clock night here, and both teams will wear retro uniforms for the game. The Rays baseball Twitter account tweeted these pretty hilarious photos you're looking at right now, completely photoshopped, of course. Absolutely hilarious. After the game, the rock and roll group, the OJs, will be here, and also during the broadcast tomorrow, I know you love your flex packs. We will have a special offer. I can't really reveal any details, but I know you're going to love it.
We'll look forward to tomorrow with the OJs here and the 3rd game of this series. Meanwhile, the Rays are trying to get on the board here tonight in the bottom of the 7th. James Loney leads it off and takes the first pitch for a strike. And a hopper right back to the mound, grabbed by Cozart. And don't forget, you can bring the family to Tropicana Field Sunday. See the Rays take on the Astros. Kids 14 and under receive the Ben Zobrist plastic bat and ball set presented by Dex Imaging while supplies last. Sundays also feature lots of fun family activities courtesy of the Tampa Bay Times. For tickets, visit RaysBaseball.com or call 888-FAN-RAYS. And right there, our highly paid model is showing us that combination of the Ben Zobrist bat and ball set. Alex Presley in the game now in left, taking over for Guzman. Jerry Sands takes the second pitch low. 2 balls, no strikes. High popper. Right side, and Springer comes in for that one. Shallow right. 2 gone. Cozart has not given up a hit since Molina's leadoff single in the 3rd.
Well, I was going to say, both of these pitchers, David Price and Jared Cozart, have really settled in, making their pitches now, and Cozart, while still trying to find consistency with the breaking ball, he's still managed to make that fastball work for him all game long.
Yeah, and he's retired 12 in a row now.
Yep.
Brandon Guyer. Outside 1-0. That's pretty remarkable. Here's a guy who really has not had great command of that curveball. He's been hit and miss with it. He's retired 12 straight.
He continues.
Liner into center. That's going to break that. Guyer has his second hit. A line single into center.
Well, nice job by Guyer. Both of his hits going right back up the middle. One on the ground, that one lined.
We knew all we had to do is mention that consecutive hitters retired streak to get it broken. We would have talked about that earlier.
It's the way it always works. There's a nice job by Guyer staying right on that pitch.
Well, in a 2-run game, anytime you get a base runner, you've got the tying run at the plate. And that would be Yunel Escobar. 0 for 2. Escobar singled in a run to get the Rays started in last night's game. Takes that one for a strike. Astros start to get some action down there in the bullpen. Staring Downs, the lefty. Chop, charged by the shortstop VR. Bare hands and throws out at first. And the Rays are finished in the 7th inning. They get a base hit, leave a man. On to the 8th we go. It's 2-0 Houston.
He got some giddy up on it tonight.
96-piece in the back pocket right here.
Gas him! Gas him! Woo! 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 Gasting!
Chris Archer and Matt Moore right there. A little bit of a quiet conversation. Been mic'd up throughout the evening. Chris Archer.
Nice to see Matt Moore out of the brace, at least temporarily.
Altuve fouls away that first pitch. So I'm riding a bicycle the other day.
Hopefully with the brace.
You could never be quite sure.
And well, it's true.
Yeah, these guys have unicycles and bicycles and all kinds.
They levitate.
Yeah,
it's amazing group.
Yeah. 100 pitches now for Price. Line drive and a base hit. Altuve on to lead off the 8th. He's 3 for 4. As promised earlier in the game, we have the AT&T fan photo of the game. Tweet your photo to #SunSportsFanPhoto for a chance to be shown in an upcoming game broadcast brought to you by AT&T. There you go. David Price.
How about that handle?
Yeah, you have to like that. George Springer, he's the difference in this game. Altuve draws the toss. Altuve singled with 1 out in the 3rd. And then Springer, a home run off the D-ring. Hit that D-ring, otherwise would have been headed for the party deck up there. The Todd Callis territory. Big swing and a foul ball back. Boy, he doesn't cut that swing down one bit.
No. And you can understand it on the first pitch, maybe even on the second, but 2 strikes, you're going to get the same swing, so you've got to pitch to the corners of the plate. That one right there, Springer probably like another shot at. That was one that he could actually reach and get to. It'd be interesting to see if the Astros stand pat here. Altuve, good base stealer over there on first base. They've got the lead. There's nobody out.
From back in the 3rd inning. That's been the extent of the scoring in this game. Price ahead of Springer. 2 strikes in the 8th. And ahead of Altuve, who's single. There's a cut and a miss on the fastball. Strikeout number 11. Second time that Springer has gone down on strikes.
You see him driving that fastball in the mid-90s right to the outside corner. And Springer comes up empty.
Now it's John Singleton. He's walked and twice has been called out on strikes on pitches away after swinging and missing on a couple pitches away. Decided to take it. It was on the corner.
Maybe going over right now. You know, keep an eye on Altuve just in case, and that's where David Price gets the majority of his pickoffs. Base stealers, if they're going to go against a lefty, they're going to go on first movement. And if you can narrow down the areas in which they like to run and guess correctly, you'll get them.
First pitch, fastball for a strike. David at 105 pitches now, and there's Oviedo up in the bullpen. Fastball missed. Close. It's 1-1. 6 Houston hits. Altuve has 3 of them. He is singled to all fields now, right, left, and center. There's the Houston second baseman. He's gone, and the pitch sent into right field. Kiermaier's there to make the catch. He's going to throw to first and try to double up Altuve, but he throws it past Loney, backed up by Molina. There'll be a throw down to second, but not in time. So Altuve certainly got his running in on that one and winds up at second.
Well, you can understand Kiermaier. He's got a shot here because Altuve didn't recognize where that ball was until he was all the way out at second. Kiermaier lines up. He's going to let it fly, but the ball cut on him. It cut and it sailed. It gets by Loney. Gets by Molina. And that allows Altuve. Watch the throw come in, recognize, and then get out into scoring position.
Altuve at second. Dominguez up here. The Rays will walk him intentionally. He's 0 for 3. He'll go to first with first base open. And Jason Castro, the catcher, is due to hit next. Okay. So the Rays match up against the left-handed bat of Castro here.
And Castro did double in his first at bat, but that was a fastball middle in, and he jumped all over it to right field. After that, David Price made the adjustment. He has stayed away from Castro, and he's rung him up. 2 strikeouts, 1 swinging, 1 looking. Expect to see the same approach here. You figure if Castro's going to get a hit here, he's going to have to shoot that into left field because David is going to stay away from him. But as you can see by the way the Rays play their defense against him, he doesn't do that very often. Is Evan Longoria the only guy over there? Here's Escobar up the middle right behind Altuve.
So it's Castro with 2 outs and 2 men on. The pitch is up. Ball, no strikes. In the 2 series these clubs have played, Castro has hit the ball to the left side once. You know, I don't even think he hit it. In fact, he hasn't hit the ball to the left side at all. Remember, they got him when Longoria was shifted to the right side of the infield. And Evan made that play. We talked about it at the time.
Because you noted it. I did not.
Yeah. So there you go. It was against the shift, and he actually hit it to the right side of the infield. So he has not hit the ball to the left side in the series in Houston or here off Rays pitching. One the count on the Houston catcher. Dominguez at first and Altuve's at second. He moved up on what turned out to be an error charge to Kiermaier. It's 2-1. Trying to hold Houston right where they are. The Rays have 2 shots left in a 2-0 ball game. This one up the left side, foul beyond the bullpen, out of play. 2-2. That was a fastball that he hit the other way, but out of play. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And he got him. Strikes him out. Fastball strikes out Castro for the 3rd time. 12 strikeouts for David Price. 2-0 Houston. It's 2-0 Houston. Coming up on Rays Live, the postgame presented by Checkers. Todd and Orestes in their usual spots, anchoring the coverage. Joe Madden's press conference. Kelly Nash will have interviews from the clubhouse. All after the game tonight. Another pitcher's duel here. We'll be talking about that. 2-0 contest. Boy, this is eerily like Cozart made his major league debut last July, and the Rays dropped that game 2-1. It was Cozart and Price. Molina bats here, leading off the bottom of the 8th. He has 1 of the 4 Rays hits, and even a stolen base. And he's come as close to scoring as anybody. Made it to 3rd base in the 3rd, and a ground ball in the hole, and that's going to get beneath the glove of VR. And Molina has a 2-hit night. He leads it off, and now he'll be lifted for a pinch runner. Molina got it beyond the shortstop.
Now VR shading up the middle. This is hit right traditional shortstop. But with VR moved up the middle, and we've talked about it, well, since last weekend, the Astros will shift more than anybody in baseball. That ball able to sneak through, and then you get a little bit of speed on the base pass, and Sean Rodriguez.
Sean Rodriguez running. Logan Forsythe in the box. So the Rays pick up their first hit since the 3rd. Forsythe takes a strike. He threw the curveball first pitch and dropped it on the outside corner. It's been an on again, off again pitch for Cozart tonight. Into the dirt. Rodriguez takes off for second, and he is thrown out. The recovery by Castro down to Altuve, and the Rays lose the base runner trying to advance.
Sean Rodriguez is going to read that ball in the dirt, make the break towards second, and a nice job by Castro to keep it in front, keep it close, recover, and be able to gun him out at second base, and that hurts. That hurts a lot. Now look at that. He kept that right in front, leaning over it. Recovered nicely, and they did get it.
Strike, it's 1-2. Altuve putting the tag on Sean Rodriguez. Too low. 2-2. That's a base hit up the right field line. So Forsythe is aboard. The Rays with a couple hits in the 8th. They lost the base runner Rodriguez trying to advance on the ball in the dirt. Now Forsythe follows with a single.
Went to the well one too many times. A lot of breaking balls, curveballs in this at bat to Forsythe. After seeing a bunch, he gets one that stays right in the middle of the plate. And just wait on it and then shoot that ball right by Singleton.
Now Desmond Jennings. Jennings 0 for 3. 3 ground balls against Cozart. It's a strike. Tony Sipp, the veteran left-hander, down in the Houston bullpen. Gone. Two outs with Forsythe still at first base, and Kevin Kiermaier with his left-handed bat on the way to the plate. Jake McGee has joined Oviedo.
And this is where you look. The Rays right now, they've got Ben Zobrist on the bench, switch hitter. They've got, of course, Hannigan, who's going to come into the game to catch. But you let Kiermaier hit here against Cozart, you bring in Tony Sipp, who's absolutely owned left-handed hitters.
Stand with Cozart.
Well, okay.
Pitch is down.
Well, you can envision one of those little fastballs cutting right into the sweet spot for Kevin Kiermaier. He's shown power. 4 home runs.
Hit a fastball at the seats in right field last night in the 7th inning, up in the 8th tonight. Takes a strike. It's 1-1.
Well, that's the one danger where Kevin Kiermaier is going to hurt you, where he's going to be able to hit the ball out of the ballpark. Most of the time is going to be that ball running into him, down and in. And with a guy on the mound who's got a fastball that does a lot of cutting, just cut it a little bit too much, and you're in big trouble. And for the Rays, that's exactly what you're hoping for.
Forsythe, the base runner, 2 outs, 1-1 to count on Kevin Kiermaier. Chops it foul. Ball, 2 strikes. It's getting close.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one. It's along the lines of what you're looking for.
Now Kiermaier down in the count. Evan would be next. Into the dirt, and it's knocked down by Castro. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Houston got 2 runs in the 3rd, and that's the only scoring in the game to this point. Ball 3. Cozart up around 100, well, 108 pitches right now. A conversation between Cozart and Castro with 2 outs. Forsythe at first, and the count full to Kiermaier.
Well, here we go, off to the races. Big pitch here for Cozart. If he does not get Kiermaier, you've got Longoria coming up.
And strike 3 called. He got him looking. And the Rays are out in the 8th. Forsythe left aboard. And here's a look. Boy, he just, well, I was going to say he just dropped that pitch over. He really didn't. The Trop tonight. Houston leading. Ryan Hannigan will take over behind the plate. Molina lifted for the pinch hitter. And Juan Carlos Oviedo on the hill for the Rays. Now David Price gave the Rays 8 superb innings. 25th appearance for Oviedo with a .222 earned run average. For Price tonight, 6 hits allowed, 2 runs, both earned. He struck out 12, walked 3. One of those was an intentional pass. He made 116 pitches, 81 strikes. And he departs now in favor of Oviedo, who faces Chris Carter. And the pitch foul, straight back, out of play.
Now, you can't say enough about what David Price was able to do tonight. I mean, good fastball to both sides of the plate. The cutter was good. He started to mix in a couple of breaking balls, a changeup here or there. Pitch like he did, go 8 innings, give up 2 runs.
Yeah, 4th consecutive start in which he's struck out 10 or more hitters. And that is the 7th 10-game or more strikeout outing he's had this year. That's already a team record. One to count to Carter. Another foul out of play. 1-2. Astros have action in their bullpen. There's Presley on deck. And Chad Qualls is now throwing in the bullpen. He got into the game briefly last night. He hadn't pitched in a week. There's a chopper out to Forsythe, positioned toward the middle, and he makes the play. So Carter is the first out in the 9th inning. Rays in the bottom of the 9th will have the middle part of the order with Longoria, Loney, and Sands due up. Presley entered in left field in the 7th. This is his first plate appearance. No ball, no strikes.
Well, the Rays are definitely going to have some power potential coming to the plate. No question. They'll have a shot. The key is going to be keep it here at 2 runs.
1-1. Yeah, that's exactly right. Keep it right where it is, because then if you get a man on, you've got the tying run at the plate.
Yeah, and well, those guys, all 3 of them, when they want to, they're capable of launching. You may get Cozart out of the game, and it's not a bad thing either after going 8 shutout.
1-2. Each team with 6 hits. Houston got 5 hits in the first 4 innings. The only hit since then was the Altuve single in the 8th. Back to the mound. And the toss to first. Oviedo takes care of that. So 2 up, 2 down, and here's the shortstop, Jonathan Villar.
Shortstop, Jonathan Villar.
Villar 0 for 3. Oviedo's pitch is outside. Oviedo pitched an inning Wednesday against Baltimore. Pitched the 9th inning. There's a strike. 1-1. Oviedo in relief of David Price. Great job by Price tonight. 1-2. Foul ball in that game last year when Cozart made his major league debut on the 12th of July last year. Cozart worked 8 innings, did not give up an earned run, and Price pitched 9 and gave up 2. David 2 runs in 8 innings in this game. Cozart no runs in 8 innings. Oviedo set to go again with a 1-2 pitch. 2-2. Chad Qualls busy down in the bullpen. Villar just got a little piece of it, so he's still alive as that ball hit the dirt. Just a little foul ball.
Watch it right off the end of Hannigan's glove, right there. It skipped into the dirt. That close.
Again. Shot deep into right center field. That ball's going to get out of here. A home run for Villar. His 6th of the year, and that makes it 3-0, and that's exactly what you didn't want to see happen. After coming close to getting him on strikes with that little foul ball. A home run for Villar, and it's 3-0.
Well, he went back to the fastball. Almost got him on the changeup. He goes back to the fastball, and you'll see that this ball never quite gets to the outside corner. It stays middle of the plate, middle away. You see it here. And Villar got into it.
So a big run for Houston. There's Dexter Fowler. 1 ball, no strikes. Villar down in the 9th spot, hitting his 6th home run of the year. Two-nothing count on Fowler. It's a strike call. Well, the job just got a little more difficult for the Rays in the bottom of the 9th. They'll have Longoria, Loney, and Sands due up. It's a strike, and it's 2-2 now to Fowler. Home run, the 7th Houston hit. And there is ball 3. So it's a full count.
Rays have already been shut out 11 times. That's tied for the major league lead with the Padres.
Yep.
And that has been the issue, the lack of offense.
And ball 4 outside. Fowler draws the walk. Should they be shut out tonight, it would be the 12th time they'd take over the major league lead in that department. They've thrown 8 shutouts.
That's the thing, too. The Rays right now tied with the Padres with those 11 shutouts. The Rays average 3.65 runs a game coming into play. The Padres are averaging under 3 runs a game. They're at like 2.9.
Altuve 3 out of 4 singles to all fields here tonight.
That's why it's been so difficult for the Rays to put anything together over the long haul, regardless of the pitching. You know, you go out, you say David Price before the game's going to go out and go 8 innings, give up 2 runs, and punch out 12. Well, you know what? You're going to win that game.
Yeah.
You're going to win that game.
One would think. Cesar Ramos up in the bullpen. We'll look ahead just in case. They have Altuve here with Springer next, and then Singleton. And Oviedo a little over 20 pitches here in the 9th. It's a little close. Now 2-0. You're right. There's some good things tonight. A well-pitched game, extremely well-pitched by Price, but if you don't score, you can't win.
No. You've seen some good defensive plays. You Kiermaier down in the Rays bullpen. But you're right. At the end of the day, it's run scored. Right now, 0 for the Rays.
Ground ball. It's Forsythe from second base making the play. 1-run scores for Houston. Evan Longoria will lead off the bottom of the ninth. The Rays are down 3-0.
Hello, Fox Sports.
Mike, so be careful.
Mike,
be careful.
get on away from me.
Get down, Jose! Mash your hands together.
Well, right-hander Chris Archer's been mic'd up in the dugout tonight. We thank Chris for doing that. I think he had fun with that. And the thing that would make it even more fun is if the Rays could put a few runs on the board here and win this one in the bottom of the ninth.
Yeah, they're able to do that. That'll make the postgame show a whole lot more fun. You get some excitement covering the end of this game, and obviously the reactions of that man right there, Chris Archer, as well as his teammates. And it starts right here with Evan Longoria.
Chad Qualls on for Houston, and the pitch to Longoria is a ball. 1-1, 8 of 10 in the save department for Qualls. Ball 2. Cozart, 8 scoreless innings. 6 hits, a couple strikeouts, and a walk. He made 109 pitches, and Cozart at the Trop now has pitched 16 innings, allowing 8 hits and no earned runs. It's a strike to Evan. So the 24-year-old right-hander has not given the Rays much at all here in his 2 outings at the Trop. Made his major league debut here. The tap left side. The arm bobbles it, and the Rays get a base runner. How about that?
Dwayne, we talked earlier in this ball game that some of the infield play from the Astros from last weekend to even the beginning, the first 2 games of this series, has been shaky at best. And that right there, just a routine ground ball to start off the inning. And VR boots it, and maybe this can open the floodgates. This is routine stuff.
Yeah, he was charged with an error last night. That's his 11th on the year. We'll see if that's the opening the Rays need to put an inning together. James Loney up here. Pitch away. Ball, no strikes. Matt Joyce has moved into the on-deck circle to hit for Sands. Will have to play it on one hop, and the Rays have the first 2 men on in the bottom of the 9th inning. Loney flares it into left. 2 aboard with nobody out.
Well, there you go. You get the tying run to the plate already. That's going to be in the person of Matt Joyce, but James Loney takes this ball away. That ball up around thigh high, and he just soft serves it out into left field. Everybody's staring intently. That ball's going to drop there for a second. Presley is thinking about making a play on it right here and decides, oh, I better pull up, play it safe, keep it in front of me. Well, the Rays have their shot now.
Matt Joyce will pinch hit for Jerry Sands. Joyce fouls that fastball out of play the other way. Strike one.
And he got a good swing, too. 92-mile-an-hour fastball with a little arm side run, and Matt Joyce with a pretty good hack at it. Well, you're looking for one of those to just catch a little bit too much plate. You know that Matt Joyce can launch.
One strike pitch. Ooh, strike 2. Up the inner part of the plate.
Well, and sinker slider. There it is, 86. Inside corner.
Foul ball. Count at 2 strikes. Joyce has 1 plate appearance prior to this against Qualls, and he walked. Ben Zobrist is out on deck. He'll be hitting for Geyer. The 0-2. Swing and a miss, and there was some bite on that slider down and in.
Yeah, better than the last 2 that he had thrown him. One for a called strike, one Matt was able to foul off, but watch him really jump on this one. He really gets out in front. That just keeps on going.
That's the first out. That'll be Zobrist to hit for Geyer. Been 1 of 1 in his career against Qualls. Fastball away. Longoria reached on an error. Loney singled to left. Zobrist chops it to the right side. Singleton down to second. So they get the force there. Qualls on his way to cover first, but no play there. Longoria advances to third. First and third, 2 outs now.
Wow, Singleton able to get to a short hop there, moving to his right. That was not an easy play at all. In between hop, he's able to smother it, get it out in front, and then make an accurate throw here to VR on the run.
2 men on with 2 men out. Yudel Escobar is the hitter. Escobar 0 for 3 tonight. Fastball too high. 4 home runs on the year for Escobar. His 4th home run came Monday in the Baltimore series. And a liner, going to be a base hit into right. The Rays are going to get a run and keep the game going. It's now 3-1. Longoria scores. Zobrist advances to second. So Escobar drives in a run.
Well, this ball stays right in the middle of the plate. And you know, Escobar stays inside the baseball. Hits that ball the other way, and he's able to get it outside of the dive right there of Altuve. It really wasn't that close to it. Evan Longoria trots home. And now the winning run at the plate for the Rays.
Well, against Ryan Hannigan up there. He took over behind the plate. Molina lifted for a pinch runner in the 8th. Hannigan inserted behind the plate into that spot. And now he faces Qualls with 2 men on base in a 2-run ball game. First pitch is a strike. The Rays have taken advantage of the error to score an unearned run. Hannigan 0 for 1 in his career against Qualls. One strike pitch. And that's a strike. Threw him a slider. Got it in there at 87.
A couple of good ones here by Qualls to jump out 0-2. But you know what? Only takes one. Only takes one. That was a good one. Had some depth to it.
Rays have now out-hit Houston 8-7, but they're down 3-1 and down to their last out. The 0-2. And Hannigan out on strikes. A slider again. Qualls gave him 3 quality pitches there to end this ball game.